Hello everybody, it's Russ here from TMOF Wrestling. Today we're reviewing Pro Wrestling Noah's REBOOT 2023. So REBOOT follows on from New Sunrise. The review for that is on the channel, so you can go back and check that one out as well. But it takes place on the same day, so both on January 8th, 2023, both from Korakuen Hall, just a few hours from each other. Purpose of REBOOT, the only matches announced for the show are the semi-finals and final matches for the tag team the Scramble Shuffle Tag Team Tournament. It's a whole thing and it's a mouthful. But yeah, the tournament has been really good. So this is REBOOT. So we're going to get obviously those matches, but we're going to get some other matches in there as well. So didn't actually know at all what to expect for this one. Obviously this review's come a little bit later. There is a lot of wrestling going on at the moment. Obviously the world of wrestling's gone crazy this week, as we all know. But this show, we're going to get into it. If you have dropped in at this video and this is the first review that you've seen for me doing Pro Wrestling Noah, I've been saying this on the other videos as well, but I'm fairly new to Pro Wrestling Noah. It's one of those companies I've known about for a really long time. I'm a fan of wrestling for over 20 years, but it isn't one that I've watched really a lot of. So this is the year that I'm really getting myself into Pro Wrestling Noah, and we're going to see by the end of it sort of how I found the experience really. So we're going to do these reviews, see how these go, and hopefully everybody out there enjoys them. Just a quick note as well before we begin, obviously we're on all social media accounts, TMOF Wrestling. You can find us at TMOF_wrestling. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. But if you do, head over to any of them, or all of them, or whatever your preference is. I don't know, it's up to you. You can head over to any of the social media accounts to follow us there. What we'll be doing later on in the day when this video goes out, I'll be posting comments from Jake Lee. So I reached out to Jake Lee, of course, he's just debuted in Pro Wrestling Noah, come from All Japan Pro Wrestling, and he had a great debut at New Sunrise. But I reached out to Jake Lee for comments to ask him on his experience of debuting for Noah, so do head over to social media, you'll be able to check out the responses from Jake Lee. Really, really nice guy. So on with the show, Pro Wrestling Noah's REBOOT 2023. What happened? Attendance is around about 570 for this one. That's as per cagematch.net. Of course, Korakuen Hall can hold more than that. The capacity is large, but due to restrictions in Japan, the capacity is obviously a lot smaller than it normally would be. But the good news is that in Korakuen Hall, as I mentioned, at New Sunrise, they are allowed to make noise, and it's a really nice experience. Crowd participation, and just hearing a crowd in general is always going to make a show better. Even sometimes if the show wasn't that good. But that was not the case here. So we're going to go into our first match of the event. Of course, a lot of the matches here weren't planned, so to speak. They weren't obviously advertised on the show. So I don't have match graphics to put up in this video like I have done previously. So we're going to make do with what we got, which is going to be just a whole lot of this face, so I'll apologise. The first match is Taishi Ozawa versus Shuhei Taniguchi. So Ozawa runs to the ring. It's kind of the running gag now. I know that was really poor. I'm just, when you're on YouTube, you ham it up, you try your best. Comes in around about 4 minutes 45, this one. It's not obviously a very long one. The opening matches usually for Noah shows don't tend to be, very long. But this was really just a story of, new up-and-coming wrestler who's kind of, very, very early on, very young, going up against a veteran like Taniguchi. So Ozawa tries, they start things out, it's grappling. That's not working for Ozawa. He tries to switch to striking. That kind of doesn't really work either, bless him. Taniguchi does get the win in this one. He hits him with the double sledgehammer, and that's the 1-2-3. As I say, around about 4 minutes 45. Poor guy. I'm looking forward to seeing how these careers progress, because I feel like I've caught people like Ozawa and Yano really early on, so it'll be good to see maybe sort of in time how they progress. In terms of how this match played out, the story was there. As I've said before, the story is always the most important thing for me when I'm watching a wrestling match. It doesn't always have to be loads of high spots, big classic 5 stars and whatever. Story is the most important. They told a story here in a short amount of time. The match is fine, absolutely fine for what it is. I think we're just trying to get Ozawa ring time at this point. So, it's nice to see him get an opportunity to be able to go out into the ring and work on his wrestling, really. And again, because I can't put the match graphics up, you're now going to catch me looking down at the laptop to read out the names. So, again, I'm really new really new to Pro Wrestling Noah, and I've said this in the other videos and I'll continue to say it, but I do wholeheartedly apologise. There probably are mispronunciations in a lot of the names when I'm speaking them and things like that, and you know, it's certainly not intended, but it's still very new. So the more with repetition and familiarising myself with the product more as we go on, obviously, you know, I should get a lot more used to it. But for now, you're going to have to catch me looking down at the screen. So the second match is a Scramble Shuffle Tag Team Tournament, which sees Noah and Congo go against Noah and Congo. I'm going to just put the match graphic up here, actually. That's going to be much easier to show you the table. But this is the semi-final match, and here we see Katsuhiko Nakajima team with Saiki Yoshioka, and they're taking on Atsushi Kotoge and Manabu Soya. This one is around just, I think, under 12 minutes. This one was wow. If you want good tag team wrestling, Japan's going to offer a lot. Japan offers obviously a lot of tag team wrestling, and Pro Wrestling Noah, there are a lot of tag team matches on their cards, and understandably for this one, because the whole thing's based around a tag team tournament. So maybe if tag team wrestling isn't for you, this probably isn't the show for you, and neither would New Sunrise be. But yeah, this really good tag matches throughout these two shows. This one though, this one is a big standout. I see a little bit of a difference between some of what we'd seen in New Sunrise actually in this match, with Nakajima and Soya starting the match out. They were willingly wanting to take each other on, so both wrestlers are members from the team Congo, and whereas previously in certain matches we'd seen them Congo members either be very hesitant to get into the ring with each other or just flat out just not do it, this one was completely the other way around, and this one just showed, I think, just it's a respect thing, and it was just two guys, let's just see who the better wrestler is tonight. And I was really into it, and this, again, the story, fantastic. Nakajima will bring this up later on as well, slight spoiler for this match, but Nakajima's kicks, they are on another level. Like, obviously in Japan, the strong style in general is strong strikes and just that strong style and offense in general. You know, it's all synonymous with Japanese wrestling, but Nakajima is just he's another level. He's an absolute another level of strong style kicks, man. These kicks hurt me. And I'm watching the show days after it happened on the other side of the world, and I'm feeling them. That's how hard he kicks. But between him and Soya is a big dude. You know, like, he's one of those, he's built like a big barrel, whereas Soya doesn't use the kicks, he chops. And it's just, you just say the same thing for them. They're just earth-shattering chops. And there's a point in this match where the two do the trade-off, the kind of tit-for-tat, you know, kick, chop, and it's just this whole exchange, and it's, better them than me, let's put it that way. Soya comes out on top in this exchange. He hits Nakajima with a headbutt. Don't know why I'm doing the actions for it. And then he picks him up for a suplex. This is a near fall. Overall, just great action really with the Congo members. It's not to take anything else away from Yoshioka and Kotoge, but the Congo members particularly stood out for me this one. Soya then hits probably one of the damnedest clotheslines I've ever seen, ever. The match does unfortunately end when Kotoge is hit with the vertical spike. It's a 1-2-3. And they're out. Nakajima and Yoshioka go on to the finals, which will of course be the main event for the show. Up next we have the second semi-final match. This one sees one half of the GHC Tag Team Champions, Satoshi Kojima, team with Shuji Kondo. They're taking on Masakatsu Funaki and Yohei. Clocking in at just over 11 minutes this one. Again, this is probably just everything you would expect from these guys at this point now. I thought the Funaki and Kojima pairing was really good. Again, these are two veterans. Overall, I think Pro Wrestling Noah might have one of the oldest collectively rosters in all of wrestling, and I think, you know, I can see both sides of that. I can see where some people, obviously, they don't like that sort of thing. And again, you know, in terms of in the West, we certainly do moan a lot with that sort of thing with some of the big promotions, but these guys, it's just, I don't know what it is, but like they can just go. They can just go. And I thought, as I say, the pairing between Funaki and Kojima here was great. So, as I said in the previous video, I am looking for any historical matches as well, although I'm only reviewing shows from this year. If you've got any suggestions and recommendations, do comment down below. It's very much appreciated. But yeah, if you've got anything between Funaki and Kojima, love to see it. Kojima and Kondo advance to the finals in this one after Yohei submits to the Gorilla Clutch. Yeah, this was really enjoyable. Again, just a good solid tag team match, this one. And as is shown next for Bye Bye, the Great Muta final, that's going to be happening at the end of the month. Abema TV's presenting that one. What did strike me about this one was that they showed a match graphic to advertise a women's match. So I don't know what promotion they're from. I'd imagine it's obviously going to be one of the ones from the sort of DDT Wrestle Universe family. But yeah, that's caught my attention, but there it is. Up next, we have a singles match, and this one sees Dante Leon taking on Yasutaka Yano. Yasutaka Yano, again, is one of those, he's sort of new, up and coming. So again, short match this one, around about 6.5 minutes. I preferred this Dante Leon match over the one with Ninja Mac. I don't know if I might catch a bit of heat for that, but you know, this one was a good match. Dante Leon picks up the win with the Inferno for this one, but it's one of those. There's nice, cool spots in there. And Dante Leon, you know, he's very impressive, but for me, again, this more just sort of like I'm watching Yano. I'm just intrigued to see how he's going to sort of come along over time. But yeah, this one, again, a nice outing for both of them, this one. It does the job. Another tag team match coming up next. This one sees Daiki Inaba team with Masa Kitamiya, who's quickly becoming one of my favourites. They take on Sugiura Gun, which is comprised of Takashi Sugiura and Timothy Thatcher. Clocking in at around about 11.5 minutes this one, and I really enjoyed this. So, as I've said before, obviously Sugiura is the other half of the GHC Tag Team Champions along with Kojima. I've mentioned before just how tough he is and he's stiff offense, but I noticed even more so in this one, he's smooth as he is stiff. Like the way he transitions sometimes from hold to hold, and that he pulls off an arm drag, and it's just little things. Sometimes the way people move their bodies, stuff like that, and this is stuff that the pros do. It's stuff that they know, and I think this is why it's really evident during Noah, again, because we say they've just got this vast pool of experience on their roster. But yeah, this is a really enjoyable match. Thatcher, of course, as well. Timothy Thatcher, you might be aware of him from his time in NXT. Obviously, he's very impressive as well. Especially if you like that style of old school wrestling, Timothy Thatcher is probably going to be quite high up on your list. He goes for his signature armbar at one point on Inaba, but Inaba does get to the ropes. Really cool spot between Masa Kitamiya and Sugiura where they're just running the ropes at each other and just meat on meat. It's bloody lovely. The finish to this match is one of those, like, the finish is really used to being designed to make you pop. You pop for the finish, right? And this one did that for me. I love this. So Masa Kitamiya is working towards trying to put the prison lock onto Sugiura, and he's upright. He's kind of like in a half mount position. Sugiura's fighting back, just slaps to the face and the neck area, and Masa's kind of taking him, and then he just reels back and just bow. It was a beautiful shot, but it's enough to knock him silly, Sugiura that is, and then Masa Kitamiya locks on the prison lock, and that is the end of that one. This was a really good match. I really enjoyed this one. Another tag team match follows this one. This sees the GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion Amakusa teaming with Ninja Mac, and they take on Congo members High 69, Hiroki and Tadasuke. This is a short one. This is around about 5.5 minutes, but they got a lot of stuff in this one. Tandem offense from both teams. Again, when it's a quicker match like this, you're only going to get so much done storytelling wise, aren't you? But again, it's an enjoyable tag team match. I found nothing wrong with this. There is not a single match on the show actually that I didn't like, and that's not always going to be the case, because, you know, there's most wrestling shows, there's usually something for everybody, but because there's something for everybody, there's sometimes something that's not for you. But this one, I really enjoyed every match. Firebird splash onto Tadasuke, picks up the win for Amakusa and Ninja Mac in that one. Enjoyable. You might want to sit down for this one, because up next we've got another tag team contest. This one sees Congo members Hajime Ohara and Keno, and they're taking on Shoki Kitamura and the ECW legend himself, Masato Tanaka. That was a really awesome surprise. I wasn't expecting Tanaka to show up. So Tanaka, if you're aware, especially if you grew up maybe watching ECW, I think if you grew up watching ECW, that probably explains a lot for this generation. But if you're like me and you grew up in that generation of ECW, then Tanaka was one of those. Towards sort of the late 90s, he wrestled there. He's actually the very first non-American wrestler to win the ECW World Championship, which he did in 1999 when he beat Mike Awesome. So a little bit of facts for you there. Between Tanaka and Kenoh here, and again, Kenoh, he seems like he's the star. He's the star of Congo, and it's easy to see why. I mean, the Congo is filled, absolutely filled to the brim with talented, very, very talented wrestlers. Kenoh has impressed me every time I've seen him so far. Like he's constantly at a high level, and obviously with title matches, because I have gone back to with some recommendations, watching some of his I say older stuff, but from like last year and before that, and it just seems in title matches he goes to another level as well. Like Kenoh's one of those guys that I think he doesn't know how to perform at anything lower than just the best. A good hard hitting exchange between Tanaka and Kenoh when they're both the legal men at one point in this match. That was very good to see. Again, this is just a good tag team match, and there's just a wealth of knowledge in any match when you go through the card on this one. But yeah, for me it was nice to see Tanaka because I hadn't seen him for so long. Last time I think I probably even ever saw him wrestle might have been when they did the ECW One Night Stand show. That's like 2005, so it's certainly a long time. Shoki Kitamura, I tried to look up a bit about him and I couldn't really find anything, so I don't know anything about Kitamura. He's one of those, if you can educate me, give me a bit of background and anywhere that I might be able to find Kitamura's work, because he come out with a title belt and I don't know who he is. So please do educate me in the comments because I need it. Kenoh picks up the win with the PFS in this one. Congo wins the match. Enjoyed it. Good match. All of these matches are going to end with me just saying good match. This is the problem when you don't have a star rating. It's just like, yeah, good match. But that's where I'm at. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. But up next is another tag team contest. This one's 6-man though. This is a 6-man tag. It's different. This one sees Alejandro team with Junta Miyawaki and Naomichi Marufuji. And they are taking on the tag team of Aita and Yoshinari Ogawa. And they're also with the GHC National Champion. Okay, I always get this one wrong. El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. Right? This is where it's Wagner and it's not Wagner, and I'm just trying too hard. But yes, anyway, this was a good match, obviously. Nice one. Well done. The match, it clocks in just under 12 minutes, this one. It's very entertaining. El Hijo, why do you have to have this name? Let's just go with Dr. Wagner. Just Wagner. Junior? Wagner. Wagner. Hijo. El Hijo? Doctor. The Doctor. Anyway, he does some moves. El Hijo. We're just going to go with El Hijo. It's just easier for me. El Hijo, Marufuji, there's a point early on they're trying to outperform each other. That happens sort of a lot with all the different members in this match. El Hijo has Miyawaki in the corner at one point and he does the chops where he counts up to, uno, dos, tres. But he gets uno, dos, and then on tres he just thumbs him in the eye. And I laughed a lot harder at that than I probably should have. But it's just silly stuff like that sometimes just gets me. Ogawa hams up the heel in this one. So again, the story being told, Ogawa and Aita are quite a newly formed tag team from a previous rivalry that they've had with each other before. And it's been a lot about whether or not they can coexist. And so far, the answer is no, they can't. So what happened at New Sunrise was Aita and Ogawa had another tag team match with each other, and Aita cost them the match in that one after hitting an errant super kick to Ogawa, which was quite funny, but go check the review out for that one. Aita does come across as more of a face, Ogawa comes across as more of a heel, and it's evident here when Ogawa uses Yasutaka Yano, who's sort of at ringside. He kind of dressed up. I think maybe he was there for most of the night, so I think that may be like a thing. They keep maybe the young guys out at ringside, but he takes Yano, poor Yano, and he holds him in the way just as Alejandro is coming off of the ropes to assumedly do a dive through the ropes, but Alejandro stopped in his tracks because he doesn't want to hit poor Yano, bless him. Miyawaki though picks up the win for his team, and it's poor old Aita who takes the pinfall. So yeah, at the moment, Aita's looking like the weak link of the team. But what did happen here, at least, was that El Hijo and Ogawa carried him out together. Whereas, obviously, with Sin at New Sunrise, Ogawa just walked off without him. So, at least they kind of all left together here. But, yeah, I am interested to see what happens with this team going forwards, because I kind of feel like they're eventually going to pull together, but it's probably going to take Aita to become more of a heel and maybe tap into them sort of more dastardly tactics, because at the moment I cannot see Ogawa switching, so I think that might be what's about to happen. Up next, you already know. It's a tag team match. We see Jack Morris teaming with the newly debuted Jake Lee. They're taking on Kaito Kiyomiya and Yoshiki Inamura. So I wasn't expecting this one. Now, of course, the main event for New Sunrise was Jake Lee's Pro Wrestling Noah debut, where he took on Yoshiki Inamura in a brilliant main event. And then here we are again. Bear in mind, this is the same day, so they're going to go up against each other again, but this time in a tag team format. Clocking in at around about 12.5 minutes this one, it did look as though we were going to start out with almost just go straight back into Jake Lee and Inamura, but that is not to be. Lee just immediately tags out when Inamura gets in the ring. So quite a heelish move. Again, Jake Lee, just he comes across as a bit of an anti-hero type deal. Like that was definitely heelish, and he does some heelish things in this match, but he's just too cool. Like, he's just too cool. You can't hate a guy that's too cool, man. But as the match goes on, a few bits have popped down on here. So Lee and Inamura, they do lock up again. They start brawling more on the outside of the ring in this one. Now, I think potentially we might see more from these two down the line, because it just seemed like it wasn't settled here. So I guess we'll see what happens as we go. But the biggest thing in this one, Jack Morris, I think he's on a bit of a run at the moment. So he picks up the win for his team, and he does it by pinning Kaito Kiyomiya, the GHC heavyweight champion, with the Tiger Bomb clean. 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. No shenanigans. Jack Morris pins the heavyweight champion here. This is a big thing. Big deal for Jack Morris. I immediately thought, dude's got to go for a title match here, surely. And then, just like that, he grabs the mic and here we go. Jack Morris gets on the mic. Essentially, he's just saying here, look, Kaito Kiyomiya, I respect you. You're one of the best in the world and you've done great things with the belt, but you've never beaten me. He talks about beating Kaito at the N1 tournament last year in 2022, and he challenges him to a match for the GHC Heavyweight Championship. It is announced now that that match is going to happen on the 12th of February. So I'm really looking forward to that. Jack Morris is on a run at the moment. It's good momentum. We'll see whether or not he's got what it takes. It is now time for the main event. I had to change that a little bit because I'm not trying to be Mark Henry. And of course this one is a tag team match because it is the final of the Shuffle, Scramble, Scramble, Shuffle Tournament Tag Tournament Final. The Scramble Shuffle Tag Team Tournament Final is now, and they bring the trophies out. Beautiful looking trophies these are, genuinely, they're really nice. But yeah, we're going to find out who's going to win them. There can be only one. Or two. No, there could be two, because it's a tag team. Satoshi Kojima and Shuji Kondo take on Katsuhiko Nakajima and Saiki Yoshioka in the main event. This was really good. The longest match on the card, this one is just over 17 minutes, and this is great. I feel like I've just said that for every match. I do probably need to come out with better descriptions, but this was great. You know what's tricky for me really is that with matches that I enjoy, when reviewing them, I find that really difficult, because for me, anything worth watching, you need to watch it. that's just the truth. You just need to watch it. I can't break this match down move by move. One thing I will say is, again, I mentioned this earlier on with Nakajima's kicks, and they were on another level here. Kojima is, I've said before, Kojima is a beast, and you know he obviously does his trademark chops on the ropes. But when Kojima wants to go, son, he goes. Yoshioka as well, I've noticed this in the last couple of matches that I'd seen him in, but Yoshioka has, like, out of nowhere, he just hits this lightning speed. Yoshioka he's quick as lightning, and again, his offense here is also piercing. That's probably the best way to explain this entire match, because you've got Kondo and Kojima who are both beasts. They both hit hard, and it both looks like it sucks. In a good way, but I would want to be nowhere near taking a chop from either of them. And Nakajima, obviously his signature kicks, Yoshioka's got that speed and ferocity with his moves. This just is a really good mix of just experience, fast-paced action, and smash mouth style. If you try to explain to somebody what is Japanese wrestling and you just try to put it all into a ball of under 20 minutes, then this is probably, so far this is probably as best as it would get for you to try and do that with. The Kojima and Nakajima kind of war, as it were, that I mentioned, that leads up to the finish in this match here. But Nakajima hits the vertical spike on Kojima and gets the 1, 2, 3. The match is in the books and we have our winners. Nakajima and Yoshioka take the trophies. They bring them into the ring. Cool little moment with the pair actually afterwards. Yoshioka shoots this kind of little look over at him, and he kind of Nakajima looks back and Yoshioka just walks off with his trophy. And that was it. So yeah, not much in the way of celebration afterwards. You're like Formula One sometimes, they just don't even like each other. Overall here, this capped off what was a really, really entertaining tag team tournament. Every match told its own story. Every match was good, but it was the way it should be, where the more it kind of went on, the better and more exciting the matches got. And that really is something when you consider that this was all done in one day. So guys like Nakajima, Kojima, Yoshioka and Kondo, they'd wrestled 3 different matches, all in the same day. And, they're all high quality, all top tier matches. I enjoyed Reboot. This was a good show. But from the tag team tournament trophies to my trophies, it's just not the same, is it? It's not the same. My trophies though. Let's see what gets the bronze, what gets the silver, and what match gets the gold. Any match that completely blows me away on any card of any show gets a platinum. That's probably how at the end of the year I'm going to work out what my match of the year was. So we'll see how this structure goes. No platinum for this one. Again, it's not to take anything away. I enjoyed every single match, but not every match can be match of the year, and not every match should be match of the year. But for the bronze, let's go. This one was the Daiki Inaba and Masaki Tamiya taking on Sugiura Gun match. Again, I really enjoyed this, and as I said before, Masa's quickly becoming one of my favourites in Pro Wrestling Noah, and Sugiura, I really like him. I thought that the pair in there was good. Timothy Thatcher's brilliant. It's tough though with these ones. Between that and the silver, which might shock people actually, but between that and the silver I was like, I just don't know. But taking the silver on Reboot was the main event. It's the Katsuhiko Nakajima and Saiki Yoshioka win over Kojima and Kondo. I've just said as much as I've said about it already, but yeah, as I say, it was really, really good. And of course for gold, it was the second match of the evening, the semi-final match between Nakajima and Yoshioka taking on Katoge and Soya. So Nakajima and Yoshioka are triple trophy winners because they won their tournament. Yeah, obviously that's really cool. But they also got 2 trophies from me, so I hear voices. Yeah, that one gets the gold, as I say. What a good show. Reboot. This was I enjoyed New Sunrise, but I enjoyed Reboot more. But not that means anything. You're allowed to like more than one thing. Wrestling fans, you can like more than one thing. I promise you, it can be done. There is another review I've got to have coming out, which was Sunny Voyage. So that one's on the agenda as well. I think that was a bit of a shorter show, but a review for that one is coming. But Reboot, good show from Pro Wrestling Noah. It's the third one I've watched this year. Again, I'm really happy I've got into the company. I'm having a blast watching these shows and speaking to people out on Twitter and on social media in general. The fan base is all just really nice as well. It's just, I love speaking to you all. It's great. And thank you all very much for the support. If you have liked this video, please do subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video. I think I've done that in a weird order. But, all the other lingo. And you can stay up to date with more reviews as and when they come up. So we have other content on the channel. You can go ahead and check all of that out if you want to. And we also have a podcast. And that you can find on any major podcasting platform. It's TMOF Wrestling, the Pro Wrestling Roll-Up. We'd love to have you on board for that one. So again, anywhere you get your podcast, go ahead and subscribe, follow, whatever the lingo is. Just so much subscribing going on these days. As always, thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Wherever you are, stay safe, look after each other, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye.